Good morning, Magnolia. Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you, Dennis, for sharing the journey through the Regional Plan of Action. And also thank you everyone who tuned in today. I am so glad to be here with everyone. So my name is Cathryn Anila, and I am from Vanguards for Change. Now, before I go into the details of the Regional Plan of Action on the consultation of online exploitation, on child online exploitation and abuse, before I go into that in detail, maybe I'll just give a background on what Vanguards for Change is, who am I, and how I've come here. Right. So as you can see on the first slide, the pictures behind Vanguards for Change gives a glimpse for who we are and what we actually do. So if you can see, just take a look at the pictures behind. It's a bit blurred, but you can see that there are a lot of activities where we come together, we discuss. There are pictures of discussions over here. We have outreach sessions, we have workshops. So I will go into this later, right? So how I started was here in 2012. If you can see, this is me over here, right? In the year 2012, UNICEF, along with Childline Foundation, based in Malaysia, and a few other organizations, organized this forum, a Children for Change Child Protection Forum, where it was a huge event where they trained children to be child advocates, to know about our rights as children, to know about the UNCRC, and to know about how we can use our rights, not just offline, but also online, because that was when Facebook and a lot of other things on the internet was becoming a trend, right? So this is where I started. And when I first got to know about having rights as a child, that I had rights, I thought that this is something that I cannot keep to myself. This is knowledge that I need to share to as many children as I could, because this is knowledge that will help us and empower us to be more responsible and more resilient human beings and also users of the internet. And ever since then, I was also participating in many spaces, and these are two notable experiences that I had as a child advocate. So the first one was when I was first invited to an event outside of my home country, outside of Malaysia, where I participated in the Building a Child-Friendly ASEAN workshop that was based in Manila in the Philippines. And then this one, as you can see the logo, this was the third regional children's meeting by the Child Rights Coalition Asia, and I had the opportunity to go as a child delegate to Thailand. So these were two experiences that really broadened my understanding on child rights, because I was able to meet a lot of like-minded peers from other cultures, different backgrounds, different countries, right? And so I started in 2012, and 6 years later, a group of my friends, we came together, like-minded peers, we came together and we thought of how we can best create more spaces for child participation. How can we create more children like us? How can we accompany more children to also be child advocates? And thus, we formed Vanguards for Change, an NGO that champions child rights and digital resiliency. So this was actually our first meeting where we sat together, had some food, and talked about how we were going to actually form an NGO. And all of us here were between the ages of 18 to 20. So we were trying to figure out the formalities. How do we actually create an NGO and how do we sustain it? So this was our first meeting. And here we are today. This is our current core team, which consists of all of these people who are just sitting on the heads. And then there are also others who they are accompanying as well. And speaking of accompanying, this is our organization's motto, accompany to empower. And this is essentially how Vanguards for Change has been accompanying children and also young people. We have this understanding that first and foremost, if we want to talk about child rights, or if we want to talk about online safety, it needs to start with awareness. And once you are aware of the existence of child rights, of the existence of risks and opportunities online, that's when education comes in. And with education, there is accompaniment, and accompaniment is a process. And through that process, gradually, there is empowerment. And so these are the pictures that I shared earlier. Towards at the back of the first slide, these were the pictures. So this picture over here is an example of our outreach sessions where we talk. These are all little cards that have the articles of the UNCRC on them, and these are used as activities as part of their workshop. And this is when the children and youth of Vanguards for Change go out to the public, and they have interactions with the public and ask them about, for example, I think this one over here is, what are your visions for children in Malaysia, for example, and then they just write down their visions and their ideas on the little post-it notes and they stick it there. So these are little activities that we would do. It's the same thing here, but for a different event. And these are all children accompanying each other. So this is another outreach session as well. And this was a child advocacy workshop that we did with all the children in Vanguards for Change. And so this is essentially how we practice accompaniment. And so now I'm going in detail to the RPA COEA event. And special thanks to CRC Asia for giving the children of Vanguards for Change an opportunity to be part of this event, to be a part of this regional plan of action. So before the event, the two child delegates from Malaysia, from Vanguards for Change, they sat together, and these were the things that they did. They had video calls, they had discussions, and this was their goal. They were thinking about how they should not be the only two child delegates who are taking part in the regional plan of action from Malaysia. So they were thinking of how they can engage more children and amplify their voices in this space created by CRC Asia. And so they came up with the idea of coming up with an online survey where they asked children, their peers, they asked their schoolmates what their perceptions are on having cyber safety educations in school, because essentially that was what their topic would be when they joined the RPA COEA, the consultation on the regional plan of action. So these were the results that they got from the survey. Now, the survey was a very small sample. It was just 145 respondents. Nevertheless, even though it's a very small number, the opinions and the perception matters. So based on the 145, these were their results. 16%, that is around 22 or 23 students, they did not know what cyber safety is. And these are all children who are in their secondary school, in high school, because it's the same age group as the child delegates who were present in the consultation. So imagine high school students in this day and age who actually do not know that there is such a thing as cyber safety. They know what the internet is. They use the internet. They use social media, but they don't know what cyber safety is. So that is result number one. Now, result number two, I'm going to skip this first. Let's go to result number three. Result number three says that 11%, which I think is around 21 or 22 students, say that they did not learn about cyberbullying, cyber grooming, sexting, and online privacy in schools. Now, these are the certain issues that we put there, ask them to tick. Did you learn about any of these in school? And these 11% said none of the above. Now, going back to the middle, right? Despite the 16% on the left and the 11% on the right, 84% of all the respondents think that it is very important, think that cyber safety education is very important, and we need to have cyber safety education in schools. So this was before the consultation, where the children gathered these data so that they could present it during the RPA COEA consultation with children. And this was day one. So the consultation was for 2 days. There's day one and day two. And these two are the child delegates from Malaysia. This is the first delegate, and this is the second delegate. Now, both of them, before the consultation, they were just talking to each other through video calls because it was during COVID. And then, of course, this was also during COVID. But once we knew that it was all safe, then for day one, we came together, and these are the two adult mentors. This is me. And we sat together, and the adult mentors, we also joined in the call with them. And we accompanied them through before the consultation and even during. And after the consultation, what they did was they gave us a detailed report, a reflection and feedback report on what they think about the consultation, about the first day, the second day. And it was more of a reflection and feedback. And these are their feedbacks. So as you can see, the first child delegate said that there were 7 focus areas, but what really interested her was the one on education, about online risk, privacy, and and then the second child delegate said how it was really interesting for her to not only analyze her own life online, but also through the various perspectives that were offered thanks to the very diverse space by CRC Asia. And this is also an example of accompaniment after the RPA COEA consultation, where this event was organized by the CSO SDG Alliance, and how this event entirely from the beginning, from scratch, was designed and implemented by children, by children and young people. So this is an example of how we followed through and how they were accompanied and they were given the space to release their full potential in terms of their capability, And this is also another example of child participation in Malaysia. So this is an excerpt from the status report on child rights in Malaysia of 2019. And this is a report by the Child Rights Coalition of Malaysia. Now, so based on this report, it says that over 1,000 children were part of UNICEF's Children for Change poll, which was related to policymaking. So these two are examples of accompaniment. And another example of accompaniment within Vanguards for Change is how the child delegates, along with other children, were and are also a part of the content and design of all of the social media posts by Vanguards for Change. So all of these posts on Instagram, all of the content is actually by children, and they also help with the design. They help with the content, and they also help with the design, and putting out their ideas on social media like this is a true example of how they feel that their participation actually matters. Their participation has a role in something huge. And I would like to end my presentation with this last picture. And now this is a poster from UNICEF and Childline Foundation. This is a poster from one of their previous events on a report called Our Lives Online. So that was a report on children's risks and opportunities online, and children's social media use, basically. So if you would like to have the report, the status report, the previous one I shared, this one, if you'd like to have the status report and this report as well, you can get it from CRC Asia later. But why I'd like to end with this is because The quote here that says the strictest parents create the sneakiest children, I would like to reiterate accompaniment here by saying that parents, teachers, educators, and anyone in the role of power play a very important role in accompaniment. It is important for us to note that accompaniment is a process that is mutual, and it is not a power dynamic where one is more powerful and is accompanying the other to empower, give power to the other person. It is a process which is mutual. And I hope that this sums up how Vanguards for Change has been accompanying the child delegates before, during, and after the Regional Plan of Action on Child Online Exploitation and Abuse. Thank you very much.